Welcome y'all, it's Wes DIY Food Plot Pro Ducks Unlimited edition. Not really. Last night we got hammered with a gigantic rainstorm that just trained over our areas. The reports of rainfall are kind of tricky because most rain gauges hold 6 inches. The forecasters are saying we got anywhere from 8.5 to about 11.5 inches in that 12, 13, 14 hour window. As I'm filming this video, I catch this out of the corner of my eye. What is that? That is a fawn and a doe swimming across this soybean field. I think there's actually 2 fawns, best I can tell. Yeah, there's 2 fawns right there, and then the mother's swimming. They're right behind her. They're pretty good little swimmers. I've got to be careful because the camera post is in water, and if I make a bunch of waves, my phone's gonna be in the water. So I've got to be real careful here. Started around 11:30 or midnight. We're here about 2 o'clock the next afternoon. The rain has just stopped. A lot of my food plots are in the bottoms, okay? So some of yours may be as well, and this may not be a problem for you this year, but it may be eventually. So we're gonna talk about it and we're gonna learn from it. As you can see, this entire field behind me is soybeans. These beans that you can see, we're kind of on a high spot here in the field. All of that where you can see it's nothing but water. That water is over top of the beans. So I'm guessing that water is somewhere around 5 foot deep out there right now. Now the good news is we're not really close to the confluence of the rivers where the water gets jammed up. We have a relatively small river and it drains out relatively fast. I've been doing a lot of research today. Soybeans, they don't have super big problems with going underwater for short amount of time. Everything that I'm reading, about 2 to 3 days completely submerged, you're gonna be just fine. After that, the plant really starts to suffer. If the weather kind of straightens out and we don't get any more rain, this field should be high and dry again within 24 hours. But right now the water is still rising. I'd say it's likely 7-8 feet deep on that end of the field. That's the lowest end of the field closest to the river. But everything I'm reading says that soybeans are going to be just fine underwater. Conditions that help with that are cooler conditions and shade. You don't want a bunch of sunshine and 100-degree temperatures. That is not a good recipe. This is real life food plot stuff right here, guys. We have sit here and we have battled drought for the most part all year long, starting early April. Our ponds are very low. The rivers were barely running any water, and we've sit there and we've kind of struggled and suffered through this all summer long. Here we are late July now, and then all of a sudden we get between 8 and 11 inches in a 12-hour period, and now our crops are all flooded out. But this is just real life food plot. This is stuff that happens. Droughts, floods, crop damage from wildlife. All of this stuff plays a role into food plot. There's a lot of things about food plotting that's really, really tough, and it's not for the people who give up easy. So the research that I've done on corn, basically the same kind of results as soybeans. About 3 full days of being completely underwater, and after that the plant's going to pretty much die. So if you can get water off of it in 3 days, you should be okay. You should be able to continue to grow after that. You might have some management problems later on, some illnesses that get inside the whirl when the water gets over top of it, but for the most part you should be okay and should be able to continue to grow. As with most anything like a flood, it's best just to give it full 5 days after the waters recede, see what happens, and then start seeing if you're getting new young tender growth or if that plant is already starting to die off, to make any decisions to decide whether you need to replant or if you should stay with that food plot. I hope I can stay with these beans. These were far enough along. Planting right now is going to be basically a disaster. We don't have enough time to make a crop now. This wasn't an easy video for me to shoot because honestly, I didn't want to come down here. I didn't want to see this. I knew what was down here, but I didn't want to come look at it. And then I was talking to my wife about it, and I said, you know what? That's a opportunity to make a video right there and to talk about some of the flooding and some of the natural disasters that we faced food plotting. And this is just a part of it. I farm a lot in the bottoms. I have a lot of my food plots in the bottoms, and this is just real life stuff that happens. But we typically get some flooding every year. We typically don't get 8 to 11 inches in 12, 13 hours, but we typically get some flooding every year. And this is something that I faced for a long time, and I'm certain that many of you have faced it as well. All right, guys, here's a little update. The next day, we're out here. This is the same field. That doe was swimming right through there yesterday. We're dry now. Water's receded. Looks pretty rough out there. Looks pretty yellow. Up in this corner, obviously, this is where, you know, we could see the top of the beans. So these beans look fine. I don't see anything that I'm really worried about as far as damage goes on right here, but I haven't been out there yet. So I'm gonna go out there and take a look around. Well, they are clearly muddy and nasty. They are just completely covered in dirt. I mean, they are just disgusting. But I think they're gonna be okay, guys. I think the water got off of them in time, and I don't think we got any real trouble here. It looks like a good looking soybean field. Hopefully this will go ahead and dry on down. We're gonna be able to keep on going with this field and not have to replant it or anything like that. So thank you guys for watching. If you found this video helpful, smash that like and subscribe button.